350 2017. For this interview, we'd like to introduce you to Todd Riggs, the Product Manager for Infrastructure at Ross Video. Todd, thanks for coming on Broadcast Brains.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you've got a pretty wide product portfolio to cover when we talk about infrastructure. You've got all of the glue products, you've got routers, you've got basically everything you need to actually make this stuff work. And even from this show here that we're doing today, whilst we're doing it on the Ross Graphite production system, we're relying on all the open gear frames, our Ross routers and everything to actually get all these signals to our encoding platform to actually get it out into the world. So not really the sexy product line, but happens to be the, I suppose, the brawn behind the operation to actually move everything through. So one thing I'd like to talk about is your latest routing system, Ultrix, and some of the features that you've got coming on. So maybe you could just tell us a little bit more about the Ultrix routing platform and what it can bring to our clients.
Sure. So Ultrix, we launched Ultrix about 12 months ago. And the goal of this is we wanted to create something that we would call a hardware-enabled software product, which sounds a little bit backwards. But what we did is we took a routing platform and we created a very robust, very reliable base routing platform that people could add sophisticated features to. So Ultrix starts as small as a 16 by 16 in a 1RU and goes up to a 72 by 72 in a 2RU. Now, it can be a very base router, so up to 3 gig kind of signals, just base, reliable, hardcore video routing. But then what we did is we added a lot of enhanced features via software licenses. So things like audio embedding, de-embedding, things like video clean quiet switching, things like UHD 12 gig support or multi-viewers. And what we wanted to do was to create a platform that somebody could buy a product or the platform in one form and then expand it either in size or feature sets via software. So it allows you to buy a platform and then grow it as you need it. And that's what the value behind Ultrix has been, and it's why it's been so successful to date.
Well, certainly, even in our own live production system, we've got an Ultrix router in one of our trucks, and it's been a really powerful piece of kit. And I think we pretty much ticked all the option boxes, and it's removed a huge amount of glue in our system, other than the fact that the router is just halved in size.
Right.
And that's pretty exciting for us. So you've mentioned that we've just had a new software release of Ultrix, and I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit more about some of the new features that are coming out with the latest software.
So version 2 we just launched at NAB, so in April. And it really was around a couple of things. So the first thing was we came out with a new software license, and that one's called UltraSync. Now what that is it's a software-enabled video frame sync. So this is an option that people can purchase, and they can purchase a single instance of it, or they can purchase an instance that will cover the entire chassis. And what it allows them to do is it puts a video frame sync on every I/O of the chassis. And what's nice about it is it's a floating license. So if somebody wants to buy 5 of them, they can buy 5 and then assign them to any input in the system. It also includes audio SRC for the embedded audio in it. So it's just a very simple way to add frame syncs into your system to bring in wild signals to get into the rest of the chassis. The other thing we did was we focused on the multi-viewers. So the Ultrascape multi-viewer is a really high quality, low latency multi-viewer. But what we did with version 2 is we added to the feature set. So we added the ability to create custom layouts. So when we launched Ultrascape, there was about 20 layouts that people could choose from. Now we have the ability to give customers the ability to create custom layouts. So they can build any kind of a layout that they want and then assign it to any of the multi-viewer heads. The other thing that we did is we now have the ability to put up to 100 pips per multi-viewer head on the system. So I don't know of another product that has that kind of flexibility. So I can now take any input in the frame and assign it to any multi-viewer head with no restrictions, no blocking. So it's a really, really powerful upgrade for our customers who wanted the flexibility and the ability to add more pips onto the multi-viewer screen itself.
Well, certainly 100 pips is quite an amazing number of pictures, and I reckon if you can go and monitor all of those with one pair of eyes, you're a better man than me.
Right.
But certainly the ability to freely assign these pips is really exciting, and certainly adds a huge amount to the flexibility of the system. Now, moving on from the world of Ultrix, you've also got a whole range of infrastructure, and certainly the OpenGear range has been something that's been developed by Ross and championed by Ross over the last number of years, and seems to be gaining pretty much universal industry acceptance. So what sort of numbers of manufacturers have sort of taken on the whole OpenGear platform?
We are, I believe, it's over 80 at the moment. I don't remember the precise number off the top of my head, but it certainly has grown. The value proposition of OpenGear was to create an open modular platform that would allow customers to buy best-of-breed product, all while under a common control ecosystem. So that was the genesis of OpenGear, if you will, and that's why the market acceptance has been what it is. They can buy, obviously, as Ross, we make all kinds of cards for OpenGear, but people can go to other manufacturers, very well-known manufacturers that make very high-quality products, if they prefer that manufacturer, or, we don't make everything. Nobody makes everything. And so this gives customers the ability to buy one modular platform, and then they can buy bits from us, they can buy bits from other companies, and it allows us to grow the portfolio in an organic way using different manufacturers within the industry. And then the fact that it's all controlled under dashboard allows customers to just have that one common control system for control and monitoring across all the manufacturers. So it's a very unique platform. We won an Emmy last year because of the concept, and it's just been a fantastic product for our company.
Well, certainly OpenGear has been fantastic for us, and over probably the last 4 or 5 years, we ended up throwing pretty much all of these different brands of frame systems and things, and we were able to standardize on one system because, as you said, that we didn't have to choose one manufacturer.
Right.
We could go through and say, well, this company has what we need here, and here's another one here, and put it all together, and all runs in the one frame, and we can monitor it all from the one application. And certainly, as you mentioned, dashboard, we've certainly seen a lot of evolution of dashboard over the last while, and I've certainly noticed that from an OpenGear perspective now we have GPI I/O cards and things as well. So it seems to me that OpenGear is, I should say, dashboard in conjunction with OpenGear and Ultrix, and we've got our graphite switcher here, all running under dashboard. We're really getting a tightly integrated ecosystem.
Yeah.
Moving forward from that, we've now got dashboard. We have a common control system over Ethernet, so we have IP control. Now, where do we sit with IP video? I understand the new Raptor card was released at NAB this year, and sorry if you could tell us a little bit more about that and Ross's evolution into IP.
Yeah, so it's important. Ross, what we did is, obviously, we bought a company called Covelos, who is also out of the Ottawa area in Canada. And one of the things that they brought to Ross was an expertise in IP technologies. And so Raptor is our first product that branded Ross that is starting to take advantage of some of that core technology. So the goal behind Raptor, again, I mentioned a hardware-enabled software product. This is another evolution of that. And so the Raptor card is really predicated on two things: agnostic I/O and software-defined processing. And so what we've done with Raptor is to build a card that fits in our current OpenGear chassis that has the inputs and outputs are agnostic. So it's a mixture of baseband, it's a mixture of IP, it could be all IP as we move forward. So it allows a customer to buy a card with specific I/O for things that they need now, and actually migrate that to a different I/O in the future as their facilities or their needs change. The other part to that is something that we've been calling software-defined processing. So much like in Ultrix, where we developed these sophisticated applications that in the router and enabled them via software, we've done that in Raptor as well. And so when you look at the Raptor board itself, we have our agnostic I/O, but then we also have this software-defined processing block or blocks on the card that allow customers to add processing functions as they need them. So where you could just have something simple as an IP gateway within Raptor, but it could go down the road where you need things like frame synchronization and format conversion, and the list goes on when you think about what we're doing in OpenGear, things like branding and keying, etc. Those types of functions move onto the board as a software load, and now from one common hardware, this hardware, I can enable all kinds of features within this in an agnostic manner in terms of the I/O. So it really allows our customers to buy a card for a specific function or transport and modify it as we move on into the future. And that's really the value of the Raptor platform.
Right, so like Ultrix, where you've added a feature set where you can buy licensable features, the idea moving forward with the Raptor would be to add new features, new licensable features, as your R&D team come up with new and improved ways to make this work.
Yeah, that's correct, and that's the idea. Because what we're trying to do is develop products that the hardware is what it is in some senses, but it allows our customers to reuse hardware and evolve their workflows using that same hardware, with just modifying what it's doing.
Well, certainly that's the way the IT industry has been for a long time. You go and buy a server and you load your software packages and you define what this piece of equipment's going to do. And we're used to the old days where we would go and buy a router and it sent the signals in and put them out.
That's correct.
Now with Ultrix, as you say, certainly from when we'd seen at NAB, that you've added this frame synchronizer option. Well, that's really interesting for us, because now we have a look and say, well, there's another frame of frame synchronizers we could get rid of.
Yeah.
And this is really quite exciting. So I think with the idea with Raptor moving forward, I think that it absolutely makes sense. And
what we're trying to solve is, Ross has kind of led the way with 12 gig UHD type products and productions. There's also a big focus on IP, and so we don't believe it's one or the other. We think it's kind of both, and so we're trying to develop products that will fit in all these areas and allow people to transition as their facilities move forward and change with as the technologies are changing some.
Great. Well, I think we've really got some exciting new stuff coming along the way, so really looking forward to seeing what some of these new licensable features come along down the track. But certainly I really appreciate your time coming on here today, Todd. It's been, I think, really interesting going through the infrastructure range, and hopefully you've enjoyed your time over in Australia, however short it might be.
No, thank you for having us. It's great to be here.
No worries. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
All right. Cheers. Well, that's it for this segment. So stay tuned, and we'll be back with more Broadcast Brains soon.